I first went to Vaidyagrama in 2011. Yeah, my first impression of India, which was, very much connected to Vaidyagrama, was just really sweet. I think the people themselves were incredibly kind and welcoming. And yeah, it felt like home in this interesting way. I was there as a student. I came as a student with a group of 5 others, and yeah, just the way we were received and the setup and the place was all, incredibly welcoming. So I can remember the colors and the smells and, just the experience of India being that of all 5 senses. The experience of Panchakarma for me was so life-changing. It really completely reoriented the way that I felt in my body, the way that I, worked with my own intuition to heal and to make choices in my life. It was really profound. And so it was years later that I, really made the decision to start offering the opportunity to others to bring people, to accompany people on that same journey. But it felt important to me, it definitely is what I believe is part of the healing process. I think that cleansing and Panchakarma is a necessity essentially for a person who really wants to, be well and achieve, true health and vibrancy in their life. And I've, again, seen it in my own life, and at this point, definitely seen that in many people who have, come to Vaidyagrama with me, but also just the people that I meet who are there. There's some pretty miraculous stories of just wellness, essentially. The philosophy of Ayurveda in regards to Panchakarma and cleansing is this idea that all healthy adults, should engage in the cleansing process on a relatively regular basis. That cleansing is a necessity to just keep the body on top of being able to deal with toxins that are building up as a result of the world we live in, as a result of oftentimes the foods that we are consuming, and that there's just a necessity to support the physical body and being able to push and remove toxins from the physiology. And that a lot of times what happens for a person is they will have these signs and symptoms, these experiences that they attribute to aging, and it's I'm getting old, right? My joints hurt, or I've, got this thing that's happening, in connection with my age. And oftentimes it's really just a result of the body becoming overwhelmed by toxins, and that's the felt sense. And so Ayurveda really believes that we can maintain a sense of vitality and wellness deep into our old age. So the idea is to come and create an environment and a space to allow the body to rest long enough to be able to release and remove toxins from the physical form. And of course that requires some, these skilled doctors, and it's a whole process of support that is necessary for the system to be able to, undergo the process of cleansing properly. So the process of Panchakarma begins with a consultation with a Vaidya, an Indian doctor, many of whom have been studying Ayurveda and within a lineage of Ayurveda where their father was an Ayurveda doctor and his father was an Ayurveda doctor. So there's a real strong connection to this idea of this information and knowledge being within the blood and deep in the consciousness. And so the process begins with sitting down with a doctor and just sharing, where you're at physically, mentally, emotionally, and then they start to create a protocol. And the typical time of just the most average time for Panchakarma to take place is 3 weeks. Your time at Vaidyagrama will begin with a consultation with one of the physicians or Ayurveda doctors. And that will essentially initiate a treatment protocol that will follow you for your entire time at the center. I think one of the beautiful things about Ayurvedic medicine that really stands apart from other modalities is this attention to the individual and this idea that no one person is like the other. And so nobody will arrive there and receive the same treatment. Even, I've been there multiple times and received this process, undergone Panchakarma many times, and it's always been different. Like, it's always, the medicines are different and the treatments are different, and the protocol that they use to work with my health at that given moment always changes. So you will have a treatment plan that is designated to you, and a day will look like waking up early. It's important to get up before the sunrise, so 6 a.m., and there's an opportunity to attend a prayer or a chanting session first thing in the morning in kind of the central area. And one of the doctors and all of the patients will gather and be in this space for about 45 minutes to an hour of chanting and meditation. It's a really beautiful way to begin the day. So after morning prayers, you return to your room and they bring you tea. And then the doctors do their rounds first thing in the morning. And on any given day, you'll see your doctor at least once, maybe twice. They come and do just a thorough check-in and evaluation of how the medicines and how the treatments are working and kind of what the response is that you're having. And after the doctors have come, then they begin the rotation of daily treatments. So you will receive a treatment either late morning or early afternoon, and have lunch either before or after, essentially. And lunch is brought to the room, you eat in your room. So there's different activities that are offered throughout the day, anything from yoga nidra to garden walks with the doctors to cooking classes. And the afternoons can definitely be quite engaging. Although the recommendation for someone coming to engage in the process of Panchakarma and cleansing is to really be as inward as possible. And it is okay if you want to just, really kind of stay in your room and be with yourself and, more quiet. That is definitely one way to engage in this process. It's recommended that you don't read or listen to music or, spend any time on your phone. It's really set up for you to, be really present for the physical body and mind to do some deep healing. So with a background in nursing, I spent time in hospitals, and I think one of the things that really, stood out for me when I started to study and learn more about Ayurveda, and particularly had the experience of Panchakarma and Vaidyagrama, was, this knowing that thousands of years ago, when medicine was practiced, when Ayurveda was practiced, it was happening in the forests. And at that time, the doctor was also the priest. And so part of the healing process, when a person had a disease or, something that they were trying to overcome within themselves, when they came to their doctor, the first thing that would be addressed was their relationship to, the spiritual reality, to God, or, this idea of a higher power. And that was, the first thing to examine in relationship to a person's disease. After that was looked at, they would then address food practices, and then after that they would give herbs, and if absolutely necessary, surgery was, something that was performed. And so this is the way that medicine, originated. Ayurveda is essentially the original medicine. All types of medicine have derived from the consciousness and the understanding of Ayurveda. So for me, it was so profound to see at Vaidyagrama this space that was held for healing on mind, body, and spirit, and to really give the opportunity for people to, attune to I think a deeper calling or, an awareness around like what is here for me to learn, regarding what is manifesting in my body in this like physical way. And Vaidyagrama holds a really beautiful healing space in relationship to this idea of prayer and the spirit world. And so that is front and center. And I think that is when you walk into the doors of the hospital in the center, it's felt. There's something palpable about an energetic like vortex that has been, created and cultivated there. And so it just, made me realize that, in a Western hospital today, right, they'll prescribe the medicines and they'll give the surgery and, not a whole lot is said about food in general, but the last thing that, will be considered is a person's relationship to the divine. And so, typically a person, if they've done all the surgeries and they've taken all the medicine and they're still sick, like they may fall to their knees and like pray, but again, it will be the last, right, consideration. And so it's really, an opportunity to come and see medicine as it was meant to be practiced. And I think for anyone in their life who has, studied medicine, whether it's, Western or alternative, for anyone in their life who has been, for whatever reason, having to deal with their own health and been on a path of healing, to come and to really have the opportunity to experience this consciousness around healing it's very profound, and I think really can open a person up to the possibility of what health could really look like, and the miracle of healing. The process of Panchakarma, like the experience of being there for a 3-week period of time, it really gives these physicians an opportunity to cleanse the body on a very deep level. And it's not always easy, right? The process of cleansing can, have in and of itself moments of challenge and moments of discomfort. There's definitely a experience of moving toxins out of the physical body, like physically and mentally. So it's good to know that you're definitely in for a full spectrum experience. But what I can say from just my own experience of Panchakarma and what I've seen in others is that that cleansing is really happening on a cellular level. And I think in relationship to how we experience our cravings and for some of us our addictions, right? It really is coming from deep within us. Maybe not even the mind, right? I mean, the mind can be involved, but I think for some people, right, it's like the body is really driving, certain desires that have to be fulfilled. So the process is really supportive of just bringing more consciousness and more awareness of, what the physiology truly needs, right? Because there's a word in Ayurveda, it's prajna parad, and it's this understanding that we are subject to mistake of the intellect, which is what it translates as, prajna parad, mistake of the intellect. And we are subject to desiring and craving things that are actually not good for us, right? And actually keep us in a state of imbalance. So when you give yourself the opportunity to cleanse and to, remove these toxins from within, there's an awareness that comes through the physical body, and that can support a person in just desiring more of what is actually good for them in their life, to at least be able to have a different relationship, right, with an understanding around like what they consume and how that has a direct impact on who they are, essentially. So there's that. I also feel that the process is very supportive for just the way the body holds and gains and loses weight. It can really support you in coming into just your best self regarding, how the body feels. We're all different, right? We all have different constitutions and different ways of how our body is best supported, regarding the weight that it carries. And so there's an intelligence that, really resides within each of us, and that intelligence can be masked by the toxins, right? So part of, what we're doing in the process of cleansing is removing the toxins and allowing that wisdom to be able to, discern, right? And that wisdom is expressed in our immunity, right? It's expressed through our intuition. It's expressed in our cravings and our desires. So much of this process is about the evolution of the physical consciousness and how we're able to engage in our life and make decisions, right? Which could have impact on everything from like the people we choose to hang out with to, the work we do in the world. And it's all so connected, right? And it really comes from, deep within us and this health that is, possible, on a cellular level, right? We say in Ayurveda, the macrocosm reflects the microcosm. And so, to have clarity from within, right, will be an obvious opportunity to reflect that clarity out onto the world and what comes back to us. So if someone is considering a trip to India for Panchakarma, it's definitely good to expect that it will be an opportunity to really get to know yourself well. And everything from just the movement of the day, there's definitely time within the day. There's a lot of time with yourself. There is time for true rest, to really pull back from, the engagement and the responsibilities in life, which for many people isn't something that happens often, if ever. So it really is a space that can be felt as very unusual from that perspective. And you can also expect to leave with a much clearer understanding of just what the body actually needs to feel well. I think one of the ways that this process really works with a person is in connection to the food that is consumed during Panchakarma, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The food is very simple and set up as supportive of the cleansing process. But everyone has a whole experience around that relationship to no snacking and just eating really simple foods and feeling nurtured and feeling for most of the time, not extremely hungry or like there's a need, for a different experience. And the food it's revelatory for people. It really, everybody leaves like with a different relationship to how they engage with food as a result of the time and the practice of just being engaged with a different process of eating. So the practice of this medicine is ancient, and it comes from a consciousness that was shamanic in its nature, right? This idea that, healing is mysterious and it happens on multiple dimensions of reality, right? We've got the connection to our ancestors, we've got the bloodline we've been born into, we've got epigenetics, we have, just our mind and so many factors that are contributing to, what it is at this moment in our incarnation that we are needing to address, physically and mentally. And Vaidyagrama is holding space for all of that, right? For people to really come and engage in a deep process of healing. And the word miraculous gets used often, magical. There's a feeling of true transformation and change that a person can experience after being there and undergoing this process. And it's something that you will take with you, back home and will never forget in your life, like what that was. Hard to describe, hard to explain, but there's a palpable felt sense, right, that you will never be the same. And part of the healing is that the doctors will prescribe 3 months of herbal medicines to carry home with you. And so the process doesn't end at Vaidyagrama. You will have the opportunity for months to continue to heal and continue to engage in something that begins with essentially your intention to come in the first place. There's something really dynamic to being involved in this process with a group and just getting to support one another, to be able to witness and be witnessed by other people as you undergo a profound process and transformation. And we always have more fun, right? I think as a group, there's more laughter and, even when there are tears, right, there's shoulders to cry upon and there's people who can, really listen and support you in your journey. So I feel that, to be part of a larger experience, to be within community, there's more opportunity for understanding what you're going through, people to share with, people to reflect back to you. And I think all of that really is supportive in the process of healing and again, really kind of getting to know these new parts of yourself and to just have, friends on the path who are there to walk beside you as you are feeling and learning and discovering new things. I've definitely witnessed some very strong bonds happen with participants who have come in a group. And a teacher of mine said that a bird won't fly over your head unless you have karma with that bird. And so, to come on a journey to India and undergo the process of Panchakarma, right? The people that are within that dynamic, there's no mistake. And so it's always really beautiful to see what friendships and what relationships unfold from those connections. So the group process is facilitated by some meetings that take place prior to our trip to India. And once everyone arrives, we start our time with a trip into Coimbatore, which is the city that is about 45 minutes from the center itself, where we enjoy food and we get to do some shopping, get everybody well dressed for their experience, and we visit a local temple. And this is also a really fun opportunity for the participants to just start getting to know each other, prior to the adventure they are about to undertake. So once the process begins, we have regular group meetings where we come together and have our meals occasionally, as well as just opportunities to share what's happening in the current moment and get some support or be able to support another. But these are really opportunities that are great for just bonding and to really also be able to see yourself in the other. I myself have ahas, as I listen to people kind of describe and articulate, what is happening for them in any particular moment. So it's a wonderful time to really be able to bond and just have a shared experience of healing. And at the very end of our time together, we'll take one more trip outside of the compound of healing and visit a local temple, which is always just a fun way to celebrate the victory of the completion of our time. Another really wonderful opportunity that Vaidyagrama has made possible is the Wise Living Post Panchakarma education, which is the opportunity to, before your Panchakarma, engage in the discipline of, starting to work with your habits and starting to learn some of the simple Ayurveda teachings to really support you in being in the best shape possible to come and undergo the process. And the education then will follow you home, where you're able to continue to engage in the classes and the learning. The meetings happen once every week, roughly, and it's an opportunity to just stay connected to the wisdom and the inspiration, and oftentimes the wonderful friendships that were made, during your time. So there really is a whole process, a whole container that has been set up to, prepare you before your time there, obviously while you're there, and then, we'll follow you home and support you as you get to know yourself after a very incredible experience. So Vaidyagrama is an Ayurveda healing community, and many of the people that work there also live on the campus. And in the ancient textbooks, they say that a physician should live with his patient, right? That's really part of the healing process. So very different to, a 15-minute consultation, right? Where you've got just a short period of time to kind of explain what's going on and get a prescription and walk out the door, right? The doctors at Vaidyagrama are very present and very available and with you much of the time to really, get to know what's happening with you and understand the process and, really accompany you as you heal. What I've seen really touch people's heart is the community that surrounds Vaidyagrama, and they have around 200 employees at this time, half of which are living on the campus at the facility, and every single one of them, from the gardeners to the ones in charge of laundry to the people in the kitchen preparing the food to the doctors themselves, are all there to support your healing process. And you really are served. You really are in a place where you have nothing to do other than facilitate your own journey to better health and wellness. Making the decision to come to India for healing is truly an investment in your health, in your long-term game plan for how you want to show up in your life and the way you want to feel. And I have used the process of Panchakarma myself as preventative, as a way that I engage in practice and that I give back to myself. Ayurveda is a lifestyle, and I always say that the understanding of this medicine, the comprehension, is that of prevention and can really facilitate a person in maintaining and experiencing a higher frequency of energy and vitality. So you don't have to be sick, right? You can really engage in this process to only feel better and come into just new expressions of yourself. With that said, you can definitely come here and experience profound healing if that is what's needed. But this is, regardless of your reason for coming, an investment in you and an opportunity for you to engage in a commitment to long-term health and well-being.